You've been sold a half-baked story your whole life, one that traps you. It tells you to play nice, stay loyal, and worst of all, blindly trust the lies fed to you. From the moment you could think for yourself, you were taught that your 20s are the peak of life, that after 30 it's all downhill, and by 40 you're basically done. But let's cut through the noise. That's a lie. Life doesn't start when you're young, when you follow every rule, or when you squeeze yourself into society's mold. Real life begins when you wake up and see that everything you've built was just a mirror of other people's expectations. Carl Jung said this realization often hits after 40, and it's a game changer. Sounds wild, right? Nobody tells you this because nobody teaches it. The first 40 years of your life, they're just a rehearsal, a warm-up of experiences, wins and losses that mostly aren't even yours. For decades, you've been told who to be, how to talk, how to look, and what box to fit into. You've been programmed to wear masks, follow norms, and silence that voice inside you screaming for something real. But as you hit your 40s, something cracks. A tiny fracture forms in the facade you've spent your life building. Suddenly, the things that mattered, status, approval, the grind, feel empty. You start asking, is this for real? Who am I when nobody's watching? How much of my life is actually mine? This is the moment nobody preps you for, the awakening. It's your true starting line. Jung nailed it with brutal clarity. Early in life, we craft our identity based on what others expect. We play the roles, student, professional, spouse, parent. But we don't become ourselves. We wear disguises, molding ourselves to fit. But when you hit the halfway mark, those masks get heavy. That's when the real you starts to break through. This awakening, it's scary as hell. Your whole world, the one you thought was real, starts to crumble. Success, recognition, validation, they lose their shine. What once drove you now feels pointless. In that void, you've got two choices. Cling to the old script and limp through the next 40 years, or rip it all off and start fresh. This is the truth most people dodge. If you hit 40 without questioning your life, without wondering if it's built on lies, you're still asleep. And let's be real, most people are. They'd rather stick with the familiar lie because it's safe, cozy, predictable. They'll take the same old routine, even if it's fake. But those who dare to face the truth, they find something incredible: freedom. When you stop chasing what the world wants, you start living on your terms. When you realize you don't have to stay on a path just because you've been on it forever, you gain the power to choose a new one. When you see that success isn't about applause, but about what lights you up inside, that's when you start living for real. So here's the question that'll hit you hard. How much of your life right now is truly yours? Does your daily grind reflect your soul? Or is it just a shadow of what others expect? Are you living, or are you just playing a part? It's tempting to dodge these questions. Keep your head down, stick to the routine, avoid the deep stuff. But one day the truth will barge in. That fake weight you've been carrying, it'll get too heavy to bear. And when you look around and see the path you're on was never yours, what'll you do? This is the key. Turning 40 isn't the start of a decline, it's the spark of a revolution. It's not the end, it's the beginning. It's the moment to break free, burn the old scripts, ditch expectations, and write your own story. Are you ready? Jung called it individuation. I call it rebirth. The choice is yours. What's next? Knowing you've been living someone else's life isn't enough. Realizing you've been in a play written by others doesn't cut it. The real question is, now that you see the truth, what are you going to do about it? This is where the fight starts. When you start peeling away the layers, expectations, validation, fake wins, the first thing you feel isn't relief, it's emptiness. A gut punch, terrifying void. Your identity was tied to what you did, what you achieved, how others saw you. Strip that away, and you're left with the hardest question. Who are you when nobody's looking? This is why most people bail. They'd rather cling to the old, familiar lie than face that void. That fear is real. It grabs you by the soul, but Jung got it. That emptiness isn't the end, it's the start. When you let go of everything you're not, when you face your life's silence without filters, you get the chance to rebuild. Not based on what others want, but on who you really are. That's where the real work kicks in. Finding your true self isn't a quick fix. It's not some Hollywood epiphany. It's a grind, a journey of trial, error, and discovery. And here's the deal. It's a solo mission. Nobody's handing you a playbook or a shortcut. Your truth isn't in a self-help book, a guru's advice, or the latest trend. It's in the steps you take, the risks you dare, the falls you survive, and the courage to keep going. Harsh truth? Most people never get here. They hold tight to the lie that feels safe, even if it's an illusion. Starting over is terrifying. Looking inside without distractions is brutal. But if you can do it, you'll tap into the truth Jung was obsessed with. Life isn't about meeting expectations. It's about blowing past them. That only happens when you shed every false layer and free yourself from what you're not. Here's where it gets real. As you start tearing down those layers, facing that void, something wild happens. The world you thought was yours feels foreign. Small talk that used to kill time now feels like noise. Goals you chased seem pointless. Fears that held you back lose their grip. It's like a fog lifts and you see the truth. Not a pretty one, but a raw, painful one. A world where people wear fake overalls running a race with no finish line. This is the part nobody warns you about. Waking up makes you feel alone. You start seeing things others don't. The dynamics you never noticed become clear. Your old crowd, friends, family, colleagues might not get it. Those surface-level friendships fade. Role-based relationships feel hollow. This is where people panic and back off. Nobody wants to feel alone. But this is the test. As you shed your false self, you lose those who were only there for the fake you. It's brutal but necessary. You can't attract what's meant for you until you live as your true self. This is phase 2, rebuilding. Some get stuck here, drowning in nostalgia, thinking the old life was better because it was easier. But the brave ones get it. This is your shot to choose your life. Not the one society handed you, career, partner, lifestyle, but the one you want. The catch? Choosing your path means owning your mistakes. That's scary. Following the crowd lets you say, I was just doing what everyone does. But when you go your own way, the screw-ups are on you. That's why so many stay stuck, half awake, too scared to take charge. Jung said it best, individuation is tough. It forces you to face your deepest fears, to tear down the lies you've lived by, to rebuild from scratch. Few walk this path. It's a cycle of death and rebirth, and every rebirth comes with darkness. But on the other side, freedom. When you ditch the mask, the anxiety fades. The need for validation, the pressure to fit in, the fake race to look cool, it all disappears. What's left is peace, rooted in living by your own rules. Here's the kicker. This journey never ends. There's no finish line where you're fully free. You'll keep shedding layers, breaking new masks, finding new truths. But once you're awake, you can't go back to sleep. That changes everything. You make choices from clarity, not fear. You connect with people who vibe with the real you, not those trying to box you in. You live with intention, not reaction. Now the intense part, you can't unhear this. You can try to distract yourself, bury yourself in routine, pretend it's all good. But deep down, you know something's shifted. That crack in your world will only grow until you face it. Ignorance sucks, but waking up and doing nothing is worse. You don't need all the answers. You don't need it all figured out. You just need to take the first step. Fear? Uncertainty, that's part of it. If you're not scared, you're not growing. Transformation hurts. That's why so few make it. So, what's it gonna be? Wait for a sign that'll never come? Or start now? Nobody's coming to save you. The perfect moment doesn't exist. The only real moment is when you decide to move. The world won't cheer you on. People might judge, criticize, try to pull you back. Your awakening reminds them of their stagnation. But this path isn't for them. It's for you. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. You decide who you are. Close this video and forget it, or take the first step toward the life that's yours. If you choose the second, know this. It's never too late. No matter how long you've lived a lie, what matters is what you do now. Your life isn't a done deal. The next chapter depends on you. If this hit you, drop one sentence in the comments. The awakening cannot be undone. I want to know who's ready to live for real. Subscribe if you felt this truth. This is just the start. We're here to break you open so you can rebuild who you were always meant to be. See you in the next video.